Well, there we go. Thought I'd give the TomTom Bandit another go. See if the firmware changes actually make any difference at all. So visor's up at the moment. 30 miles an hour. Let's try it visor down. And there we go, visor down. Actually seems like I've got more wind noise in my helmet now than when I had my visor open, but you definitely get the echoey effect when you talk to yourself inside your helmet with the visor down. I hope we're recording audio. Stripped the bike down yesterday. Checked the valve adjustments after a couple 1,000-mile journey. Had to tighten the exhaust valve on the rear cylinder just a smidgen. But you could hear it at certain RPM. Sounded different. I assume that's what's fixed it because the noise appears to have gone. Plug in my helmet now. Oh dear. Cage. I tell you what, this Transalp greatly prefers the warmer weather. It doesn't like that 8, 9, 10 degree stuff. I did screw up when trying to adjust the valves the other day. Last time I did it, I put the crank end inspection cap on too tightly, obviously. And after the, that was in the winter, after the run in the warmer weather and the run on the motorways and stuff, it seemed to have bedded itself in quite firmly and I could not undo it. It's an aluminium cap. Put the Allen key in and put enough pressure on it to round it out, unfortunately. Fortunately, it's a pretty wide diameter cap on these bikes, so I actually got a cold chisel on it and just tucked it on the outside and it came out, but I've made a little bit of a mess of it. So I'll have to invest in a new one of those. But it's worth it if the bike sounds this much sweeter. Which, to my ears, it does compared to what it did sound like before. Practically no wind noise in the helmet. at this speed here now. I don't know why I come this way, it's an awful way heading towards town. Giant green buses we have take up 1.5 times the width of the road. Ridiculous. The roads and the buses. I'm going to go to St Malo next weekend and drive up to the Normandy landing beaches, I think. As long as they're not getting really nasty weather. I think it's supposed to be okay next week. A little bit windy, perhaps. But I didn't see any rain forecast. At least the indicators are working now. When I put the fairing back on, I actually pulled off the indicator relay wire. I had no indicators for an hour. Well, I figured out what I'd done. Right. Let's see what the wind noise is like. A bit more wind noise in the helmet now. We're not doing excessive speed, that's for sure. It'll be interesting to see when I get home what this is like. Back to sedate speed. You didn't really get a lot of opportunity to maintain any speed around here. Not least because of those signs. Whoops. It's easier to stand up and go over those than it is to sit down and take it in the butt, as it were. Probably a lot nicer for the bike as well. That tappity noise has definitely gone. Much sweeter. So we did the first time I did the valves, it was the front cylinder exhaust valve that needed slightly closing. This time it's the rear, and I haven't adjusted either of the intakes ever. They've been spot on, so not quite sure why that would be, but I'd like to see something interesting rather than the arse of this car. Shall we go to the airport? Let's go to the airport. I can smell. What can I smell? Burning oil, but I don't think it's me. I hope it's not me. This is actually the first longer than 2 or 3 minute run I've done on the bike since I put it all back together yesterday, so I hope it's not me. I doubt I'd be able to smell it if it was me anyway, unless I was stopped. Oh, that feels smoother as well. I'm glad I did that maintenance. See, these silly roads, you have to thread yourself through a gap barely big enough for the bike. What was that noise? That was just me and the gearbox. I didn't do most of the engine bolts up as tightly this time. Even the valve inspection covers that I did up the last time I did it, I didn't think I put them on too tight, but they were a bitch to get off, and you can only use a spanner, not a socket, on a couple of them because of the location. And I almost rounded one of them. I had to be quite careful. But the inspection covers, they have nice rubber O-rings on them, and they're not under a lot of pressure, I think. So I don't think they really need to be super tightened anyway. I couldn't actually find a torque setting for them, but last time I did things to the proper torque, and I definitely did it to the proper torque, and that was our handlebar bolts. One of the handlebar bolts snapped. So I'm not too fussed generally with torque settings anymore. I just do them up until they're safe. I had to scratch my nose. .25 again. How's that idle holding up now? Oh, that's not bad. Fairly smooth. For an oldie carburetti motorcycle, such as the Alp is. Little wind noise in the helmet again now. Absolutely nothing compared to what I had on tour, but loud enough to have completely screwed up the audio on this camera before. Me poking the mic. I just wanted to see where it was placed. I've got it in the right next to the cheek piece at the moment. It's got a little pop filter on it. Oh shit, stinking bonfire. They're burning crap as well, like polystyrene or plastic. They do that over here all the time. Arseholes. It's actually one of the first longer rides I've been on since I've been back. I'm really quite enjoying it. Feels good. I gotta get out there again. Cool. You didn't see many of those over here. Well, you see quite a few of those over here, but not kids on the road. Probably because they all got killed by inconsiderate drivers. Visor open, 35 miles an hour. Ow, I just got a bug straight in my cheek. Yeah, it's not warm at all. She needs a support bro. Just tried to turn on my Bluetooth headset, but it's not having any of it. Maybe it's gone flat. Well, am I pressing the wrong button again? I bet that's what it... When I got this bloody thing... Yeah, there you go, it's on. First day I didn't use it because it was brand new and I thought it was broken because I was pressing the wrong bloody button to try and turn it on. So I spent the first day on tour with no sat-nav instructions through the helmet, which was a complete pain in the bottom. Tell you what, if you haven't got a Bluetooth headset in your helmet and you're going on tour, for the 30 odd quid it costs to get a cheapie like this, it's brilliant. On some really long boring stretches on the motorway, and I did a little bit of motorway, I even put the radio on and listened to Heart FM, which seems to be the station to listen to, and it was quite enjoyable. Rocking out to music, bombing down the motorway. Poor old Alp got a good workout. Never sustained speeds like that before. Coming from a tiny place like this, it's a bit weird when you get on the motorway and Satbag says for the next 111 miles keep straight. I'd have to go around the island 5 times to even rack up that sort of mileage. Certainly not going to do it 70-75 miles an hour. Oh well, you are sounding sweet. Much better. Well, if we make it back and the Alps still is going well, it means I did put all the nuts back in the right place, and we should go book a trip to St Malo. Found a nice campsite down in Normandy on the web the other day, so 40 metres from the beach. Be nice if they're done with all the horrid weather. Here's another little bit of wisdom. Everybody else probably knows, but people who have not been on tour with their bikes before may not. I'm pretty sure, well I did. I checked nuts and bolts and things and serviced everything before I went. I probably hugely overloaded my bike with luggage. But my hard panniers, and this is going over some really rough roads in the Lake District, single track, bumpy things, and in Wales, the potholes, like manhole covers were missing in the road all over the place. But the point is, when I got back here and checked the bolts on the pannier, which are on the original luggage rack, and the studs that hold the plastic panniers to the racks, they were very loose. And I hadn't spotted it en route, although I had checked bolts and things, but my tent and bag was strapped over the top of those bolts. I was lazy. I think with the weight in them, obviously they're being held down, they weren't going to go anywhere. But they must have definitely been bumping up and down like mad on some of those tracks. So, there you go, boys and girls. Check your nuts. Gasoline has more energy than his calves. I can't get over how better this bike sounds since having adjusted that exhaust valve. It wasn't much out either. It's probably even, I guess it maybe even was still within tolerance. But on the outside edge. No surfers today. Tide's out. Coming up to one of my favourite stretches of road in the island. This little beauty. Lovely sweeping bends. It's a pity about the speed limit here, but and a nice view. And the road's cambered right and up the hill, and it's just right. Fish and chips. I've got Indian for the site. For the curious, those stripes on the road don't mean don't stop here like they do practically everywhere else. So we got a learner trying to overtake me on the inside. They're a wonderful filter and turn system we have in the island. Which confuses just about every visitor to the island. Resulting in many dented hire cars. Which is why, if you're ever in Guernsey, you get to one of those, every local person just stops, ignores the order and lets the hire car through. That's another Guernseyism for you. I wish there was somewhere to stretch the legs on this bike. But there isn't. Safely or legally. Yeah, by the way, anyone from Guernsey watching this and noting any slightly excessive speed on my speedo can sod off because it overreads. Yes, I rebuilt the wheels and changed the tyres. I've checked it on GPS many times. It is fast. So no. That's my legal disclaimer. Is this road open yet? It is. Wonderful. Yeah, valve adjustments on this bike are a pain in the arse. So you have to strip the fairing down, remove the airbox cover, even displace, well, that's why it's closed, nice new road, even displace the right hand radiator, and it's still an awkward sod of a job. Just trying to avoid the gravel in the middle of the road here. But given how sweet this bike feels compared to what it was before, I'd definitely do it again in a heartbeat. Yeah, that road needed desperately resurfacing. There were massive potholes in it. So that's good. I like all this gravel they left on the road though. Almost home. Ooh, there's a hole in the road. bit annoyed with myself because I scratched the petrol tank badly when I took it off to do the valve job. I didn't set it down right and it fell over on top of itself on the gravel. Took a really good couple of chunks out of it. That's my one remaining little touch-up job to do on the bike. Two-stroke smoke. Home stretch. And have a good check for any oil issues. No leaks and we'll be good to go. Well, there we go. Let's go check out the audio.